The one thing about the Super Tenere, well, many things, is that it is the fit and finish of this is just so much better than the Honda. Not that the Honda is bad, it's good in its own terms, but this is like, it just feels like a bike that you will keep for a very long time. You know, I've mentioned this before, it's that build quality and the combination of like the solid feeling and really great handling, and the ergonomics on this bike are just so good that it doesn't make you like feel like you need to upgrade. Now the downside, of course, is that you get 45 to 50 miles to the gallon. The nc700, you get a very nice 70 or 60 to 70. That's a big difference. The nc700 is a really amazing bike. It's extremely eccentric, quirky, and I do admire Honda for making it. Now the one thing that confuses me is that it's got a chain drive. That bike, it really feels like it needs a belt drive. They made the BMW F650CS. That was a belt-driven bike that's very similar to the Honda nc700. It had the frunk space, and I believe they had various accessories for that frunk. So BMW went a little bit further ahead than Honda and gave you like speakers that you could actually attach to that frunk space and various bags. But Honda could have done that, but I just kind of like the idea of having a frunk with a battery in the front so you could attach various charging devices. Look at this, the sun is setting. It's very pretty. I think one of the issues with the Gold Wings is that they cost $27,000. Sure, it's pure comfort. They have all the bells and whistles, but $27,000. That's crazy. And I believe the standard version is $24,000. I use motorcycles as transportation. So I want them to be fun, but I also want them to be reliable. I think a lot of guys that get BMWs, they don't care if the bikes are reliable. They care a lot about the brand, and they want to tell their friends that they got a BMW, and they enjoy all the creature comforts. You know, it's like, oh, look, check this out. There's a lot of dick measuring in motorcyclists. I've never been into that because I prefer, like, there's a good balance between a KLR 650 that's got nothing, no frills, and something like this. This is a step up, or 2-3 steps up from a KLR 650. But it's not up to the level of a BMW GS, because the GS has just gone off the deep end with comfort and all of these things that riders don't need. There's this weird thing that happens with motorcycling. You get something small, you're starting out riding, maybe it's an Ninja 250, and you start chasing the displacement game. You go, oh, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Let me try the Hayabusa. Let me try a Goldwing. And eventually you get led to a place that's not motorcycles. It's something else. And then at the apex of that, you're like, wait a minute. The reason I got into motorcycles were this very basic thing. And that feeling is gone in these very large motorcycles. I think what the Super Tenere gives you, it's a combination. It's the high-end market, but yet you still have the very basic feel of a motorcycle. So it's not removed. It's not like I'm watching TV. A BMW, it's like watching TV, at least to me. The GSs are a lot more character-filled, but they are touring lines. They leave me just dead. I just can't understand the appeal to a BMW that costs so much and does exactly what a KLR 650 does with less reliability. and they think that somehow a BMW is going to impress people like guys with BMW cars do to people that don't have BMWs. They go like, hey look, this is a BMW M5 or whatever, and they get this expectation of being impressed. It's like, oh, you've done very well for yourself. But a BMW motorcycle is not that. A BMW motorcycle is completely accessible for most people. If you really wanted a BMW GS for $20-something thousand, that's accessible for a lot of people. It's not a good decision, but it does have, you have the ability, every man can make that decision and buy one. And I think a lot of the BMW guys, they want to impress you. They're like, oh, look at my GS. But it doesn't have that same effect when you have a motorcycle. Even like the S1000RR, it doesn't have that same effect. It's actually quite dull. I don't know, when I think of BMW, I think of like grandfather's motorcycle. I don't think it is an exciting machine. And I also understand marketing. Like, I know the strategies that they're doing. I know that they're spending thousands, millions of dollars on marketing, because when you have an inferior product, you spend a lot of money trying to con people into buying your product. You know, it's like selling the image over the actual product. That's why BMWs, they always have like great marketing. Just take the case of The Long Way Round with that Charlie Boorman and Ewan McGregor. They wanted to really write KTMs, but KTM was like, hey fanboy, I don't really care, you guys suck. So they went to BMW, and BMW, yes please, we see how this could return well in our favor, and it did, because BMW is all about marketing. It's the same thing that Apple does. Now, I don't want to turn this into a BMW thing, but I always use those bikes as what you shouldn't do as motorcycle riders. I think what this bike also gives you is a bit of a passionate drive. You know, it's like very agricultural, very raw. It's like I don't want to compare it to an old Porsche, but an old Porsche, you feel all of these gears, you feel the bike move, and that's how this bike is. It's not perfect, but the way they made this engine feel is what I like about motorcycles. It has a raw quality to it. The inline 4s are fun, but I think the inline 2s that these bikes, modern bikes, have now, they're being perfected. I think this is where the world is going, because they're very easy to manufacture. Yeah, shifting those gears. You know, the nc700 felt very vague in the corners because tires were low on pressure. So you can do this on this bike. The NC, you can't. You don't have that squirting capability. I love the squirting capability of these big bikes, you know. And this one keeps my speed a little bit lower. I don't feel like I'm breaking the law too much. Yeah, this bike is a much nicer bike to ride. The quality is just so insanely good. You know, I think the part that amazes me is that this bike, even with 67,000 miles, feels like it's brand new. And I also make kind of a little bit wider turns. I don't know if it's just because of my dark side tire. If you don't know what it is, I do have a car tire on this bike. That's right, I said car tire. You know, I got the dark side tire because I just like to ride. I don't want to have to be like taking time to change tires every 5,000 miles. a shaft-driven bike is just so much better. It's like when you have to do chain maintenance, what the hell? These bikes are so inexpensive. A open class ADV bike that's got a shaft drive, and you can get for like $6,000 to $7,000. That's incredible to me. I'm kind of stuck here. The cops won't bother me.